Hello, beautiful humans. It is I, Rory from Sassafras Tarot, live today for the Witchy Weather Report. I will be reading from Tarot of the Abyss. I am going to do my usual thing and go over on Facebook and make sure that sound and video are coming through. Hi, Kaylee. Kaylee's come up to visit. Come on up. Here's Kaylee. She's helping. She will be helping with your readings today. Okay, I see the live. Do I hear the live? She will be helping with your readings today. Okay, good. Hurrah. And I'm going to go ahead and share because I know that Facebook just doesn't show people lives anymore. So I'm on 3 places instead of 4 today because Meta has decided that you can only go live now if you have over 1,000 followers on Instagram. I do not. And so I'm only on Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube today. And my goal is that by the next Witchy Weather Report, I am able to go live on both TikTok and Instagram, meaning I would need to have 1,000 followers on both. So if you would like to support me in that goal, all you have to do is follow me in one of those places, and it would mean a lot to me. Okay, Witchy Weather Report. Click through to the main video on Sassafras Tarot in order to comment. Good morning. Hey, Mary Jane. Hey, Nancy. How you doing? I already see cats in the chat. Friends, this is our secret code. If you would like to get a reading, if you'd like to get a 1-card pull, drop a cat in the chat. You can put a cat emoji, or you can just write the word meow if emojis are not super accessible for you. Speaking of cats, Kaylee is helping. I did not bring her co-pilot chair over today. And I might if she gets a little bit annoying. But right now she's just being snuggly. If she tries to wreak havoc, I might bring her. I found that the way to have Kaylee not ruin a live stream is to just give her a whole nother chair so that she can be involved. Anyway, look at y'all tuned in. Hello. Meow meow Judith. It wasn't showing up on Facebook. Yeah, feel free. You can go directly to the Sassafras Tarot page and see it that way. I don't think Facebook really gives good notifications about lives anymore. So, you know, hey, Jaka. Hey, Judith. Hey, Patty Bell. Hey, everyone. Y'all are lovely. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for being my pals. Thank you for dropping cats. You did go to Sassafras Tarot. Great. Yeah, I can't account for what Facebook does and doesn't do. It's obnoxious. Sorry, not sorry. I do see some humans tuned in now on the Spacebooks. And I'm gonna share it to a couple of groups so that it's even more obvious because that's what I think we have to do. Okay. And I'm tentatively, and I may regret it, I'm allowing open comments. Please like me on Facebook as Sassafras Tarot if you would like to comment on the broadcast in the future, because I usually try to make it so that my posts are followers only for 24 hours or more. And that's because we've gotten spammers in the past. It's there now. Yeah, I guess Facebook just takes its time. I don't think Facebook is super invested in live anymore. So whatever, I don't know. What are you gonna do, you know? I still like doing live streams, so whatever, Facebook can just deal. All right. I've done some sharing. In the event that if anyone finds that someone is spamming them, let me know. and I will look after it, because I know that does happen on Facebook sometimes. But I think Facebook making lives a little less priority might mean that there are fewer scammers. We'll find out. All right, friends, before I pull a card for everyone, it is time for you to answer me these questions 3. Question 1, where are you tuned in from? Question 2, what you sipping on today? I'm broadcasting live from Long Island, New York. I am in my unicorn habitat. Kaylee is in my lap, being a cute little varmint. And I'm sipping on leftover bottled water from last night. Ooh. And question 3, how are you feeling today? I want the real answer, not the polite answer. I want to know for real how you're feeling. I am feeling tired, but good. This is my 3rd day of being 41 years old. My birthday was on the 28th. And I think I did a very good job with 40. I don't know that the world did a good job with me at 40, but I think I did a good job at 40. And I think my friends did a good job at being my friends while 40. And so I'm really happy about that. And I'm excited about the new year. And I'm excited to be starting a new year a lot freer than I felt starting last year. So cheers to that. How are you doing? I'm reading for you today with the Tarot of the Abyss. Hey, Shelby. Hey, Brittany. On the couch having a strawberry silk non-dairy yogurt. Love it. I've got too many windows open. I'm closing some so I can just focus on your comments. Okay. Tune in from Huntington. Blueberry seltzer. Love it. Love a blueberry drink. That's delightful. Exhausted from 2 weeks of battling yellow jackets in my apartment. I misread that as bottling yellow jackets. And I'm like, my goodness, what are you doing? Although I guess you could put a yellow jacket in a bottle and take it outside. That sounds awful. I would be very, very unhappy to have yellow jackets in my apartment. One time Kaylee found, I think it was one of those giant European hornets, in the house. And it was a whole mess because Kaylee was like, toy. And I was like, nope, nope. That was not in this apartment. And it only happened once. So it must have just, flown in by mistake. But that was terrible. Okay, this card has presented us as our card of the month because it flopped out while I was shuffling. It's the 5 of Wands. Now, most 5 of Wands are a little more fighty than this one, but we can still see that these two birds are like having an argue. There's all these branches. It's unclear whether they want the branches or whether they're fighting with the branches. Some of them are falling to the ground. There's this energy of like, I want, no, I want. And the 5 of Wands is really this energy of so many cooks in the kitchen. Everyone needing to be right. Everyone needing to be right. And battles that feel a little bit pointless. We see these birds, they're battling over these branches, and as a result, they're like losing some branches, so caught up in being right that they fail to notice that like the actual objective, which is the branches, is like falling to the wayside. So this is really a strict thing from the universe to choose your battles. Is it meaningful? Now, some battles are meaningful, especially right now at this moment in history. There's a lot of bad things happening. There's a smear campaign in particular against LGBTQ and trans people. There's not a smear campaign happening against women, because patriarchy, and we have people going public saying we shouldn't be allowed to vote, and a lot of people agreeing with them. There are people of color being disappeared from the street and homeless people being disappeared from the street. There's a lot of bad things that are happening, and it is worth battling to make the bad things stop happening. It is worth battling to stand up for people's rights, to stand up for people's personhood. Those are battles worth having. It is worth resisting. It may not be worth having a battle that won't impact anyone other than two grumpy people and their opinions. You know what I mean? Like, so we pick our battles. We decide what's meaningful to us. We decide what's important, because sometimes we can get so caught up in battle mode. And this is, for better or worse, there is an evolutionary component here. I remember reading that the way that certain social media sites, including Facebook, are designed, um, makes it easy for flame wars, if you're familiar with that, which is just like the word for like an insane internet argument. It makes it easy for them to start, because it triggers this kind of cave person like thing in our brains that made us feel like we had to get up in arms and get rid of people who didn't see things in the same way. And this was about like protecting the cave, you know, or protecting, at the time when we all had to rely on each other in a much more visceral and real way than we do now. Um, Kind of asserting a common culture was something that was more meaningful for our survival than it is today. And a lot of social media kind of plays off of that impulse, and gets us riled with each other, and being riled with each other instead of being riled with the appropriate target, and resisting real big things that are happening, just like getting mad at each other on Facebook over whatever, um, over how we feel about Taylor Swift's engagement to Travis Kelce. Like, do we care? And you're allowed to care, you know, like I support you caring in any direction about those types of topics. But when we lose ourselves in those battles, nobody wins. Nobody wins. Conserve your energy for the battles that matter. Conserve your energy too for joy, which matters a lot. That's the energy of this month. Conserve your energy for the battles that matter, and for the joy that matter, and for the things that will make you feel like you are living your best life. It does not make anyone feel like they're living their best life to get into a grumpy argument with someone and realize, wow, this person is just never going to see my way of things. If they're never going to see your way of things, exit the conversation. Why are you still there? That is what the universe is telling you. I'm going to read through some comments, and then I'm going to start pulling cards for everybody. Tuning in from Syracuse from my bed. Hello, hello. How are you feeling, Brittany? Sipping on Gatorade, leftover bottled water, and oops, I left my coffee downstairs. Oh no. That's right. And you have COVID. Everybody, please send healing energy to Brittany. There's a new round of COVID going on, and most people are pretty blasé about it. But people who are immunocompromised are, you know, once again, you know, really bearing the brunt of this, and bearing the brunt of our choices around safety. So, you know, we can have basic choices and consideration around germ safety. And it doesn't have to be the biggest deal in the world. We could just do that. We could just be considerate. Um, you know, we can test ourselves if we get sick. We can, you know, take our vitamins and up our immune system so that we're less likely to get sick or pass it to others. We can be thoughtful about who we're hugging and shaking hands with, etc. That doesn't destroy our lives, but it will make a big world of difference to people who are immunocompromised in any way. Wow, I'm having a real lectury day. Maybe I'm being my own 5 of Wands today, like just expounding my opinions on the internet. It's just because I worry about my friends. Tune in from New Haven, sipping on water, having some intense PTSD symptoms, lots of spontaneous crying. Sending you so much love. Everybody send some love and healing to Patty Bell. Doing some astrology for the upcoming full moon eclipse. Yeah. Ooh, tell me about that, because I know about the new moons because we got a couple of Virgo new moons. We're in the middle of 2 of them. Yay. I'm a Virgo, and I'm feeling I'm like in my element in a way I haven't been in a while. So yes, it feels good. It's a vanilla silk non-dairy yogurt. Okay, so it's not going to the BDSM club. It's vanilla. The BDSM club for yogurts. I don't know what's wrong with me, guys. I'm sleepy and I'm making questionable jokes. Tuned in from Dover, Delaware, sipping on coffee, feeling gritty-eyed. I know that feeling. I love sleeping with the window open, but not used to the farm noise. Oh, farm noise. Babylon, black coffee, also tired but good. And happy birthday, further the fuckless 40s, further the fuckless 40s. Thank you, friend. Nightmare, nest hard to reach in chimney. Oh my God, what a night. That does sound like a nightmare, Mary Jane. I'm so sorry. Everyone send Mary Jane wonderful wasp getting rid of energy. May the wasps be gone. My goodness. Can I call those birds Bridget and Jesse? Chaka, you can. Yes. Yes. Boundaries. Yes, we love boundaries. Yes, and the first boundaries are always with ourselves. We decide how to expend our energy. And sometimes we forget that we have a choice when we're caught up in the moment. Like these birds are caught up in the moment of just being fighty because fightiness started, and there's an energy of like, oh, I got to finish the fightiness. Perhaps that's also evolution, right? Perhaps there are very real times where if we didn't finish the fight, we would end up being the one who was finished, you know? Um like on friggin' Mortal Kombat, finish him, right? However, when it's something that is lower stakes and not the biggest thing, we can choose whether we spend our energy on it. Brittany had a major anxiety attack after taking the Paxlovid because body is doing weird things and it further triggered a PTSD episode. I'm so sorry. I'm sending so much love. PTSD is wild, man. I was diagnosed recently with CPTSD, and I think it's a correct diagnosis, and I'm glad to have the diagnosis because it just puts a name and allows me to seek appropriate care for something I know I've been dealing with. But it's wild. It's the things that seem very innocuous that will create a thing, become a trigger. Wasps be gone. Ooh, love your question, Mary Jane. I'll be 65. What does 65 have in store for you? Happy almost birthday. That's lovely. Hey, Eileen, how you doing? Okay, I'm pulling cards now for everyone. If you missed it, our main card is the Five of Wands, and the universe is saying very clearly, decide where you spend your energy. There are real things worth fighting for. That doesn't mean that every argument or disagreement is worth attending and worth expending your energy on. Decide what you will attend. Decide if there's things that are making you grumpy in life, decide if you need to keep giving your energy to them or not. Sometimes, yes, sometimes we decide, yes, this is worth fighting for, right? This is important to me and I will show up for it. And that's okay, right? And sometimes we're like, you know what? I could argue with this person till I'm blue in the friggin' face and it won't change their mind and they won't change mine, and we're going to walk away grumpy no matter how long this argument goes. So let's walk away grumpy now instead of wasting more time. And that's also very lovely. Think about what you could be doing with that time instead of having a grumpy argument. All kinds of wonderful things for yourself. Okay, I'm going to see where the cats are. If you have not left a cat and you would like a reading, I will see it on any platform, by the way, because I have the comments up here from the beginning. Even if you change platforms. Excuse me, you're good. If you would like a reading, drop a cat in the chat or write the word meow. First up, we got Patty Bell. Next on deck, we got Nancy. And I'm just gonna go. If you've dropped a cat, it's in there. I see it. I'm just taking like two at a time because that's what my brain will allow this morning. Patty Bell. We have the Eight of Wands, things moving swiftly in a direction. Most likely the direction you yourself has cultivated. And I know you, and I know that you have likely cultivated a very thoughtful direction. We have this energy of these birds flying. They would be this time of year flying in a southerly direction as the weather cools off. But they're all very organized. They're making an arrow, right? They're making the V. I love to think of it like an arrow because it just indicates that further, like, yep, we're going here. And there's this energy of just like orderly chaos. Things are speeding up. Everything is going the way it's going to go, like catalyst energy, right? And the catalytic converter of life is moving you forward, is moving the plot forward. And you may find that the plot gets moved forward in ways that feel confusing. You may find that you have to think on your feet. You may find that things pop up quickly that you have to respond or react to, that feel like a distraction, but they're not a distraction. They are part of the changes that are happening. So I invite you to stay centered in yourself, something I know you're fantastic at. Stay centered in what matters to you, your desires, your goals, your dreams, as well as, your values, so that when opportunity and the universe knock on your door, you'll be able to promptly respond. You'll be able to be like, oh, I studied for this pop quiz, actually, right? We study for the pop quiz by staying in touch with ourselves and what we need and what we want. Blessed be the forward movement of our dreams and goals. Next up, we have Nancy. And on deck after Nancy is going to be Mary Jane. And after Nancy, I'm going to take a hydration checkpoint, and I'm telling you all to hold myself accountable. Oh boy. Okay. Nancy, we got a jumper. The universe really wants to tell you it's two. Wow. It's death and the lovers, Nancy. We have this energy, we have this dualistic energy in your life. There are things that are absolutely coming to a close in your life, and also emotional intimacy and making choices based on how you are emotionally intimate with yourself. I'll explain that in a moment, are really, really key right now. You're in a transformation phase. The old is dissipating. There are even aspects of yourself that are dissipating. And I struggle with this sometimes. I see tarot readers talk about, like, you have to let go of the old you in order to embrace the new you. And I feel like that's a little bit of bypassing, and it's a little unkind. Old you got you here. So it's not about shaming yourself. Sorry, I'm just hearing the cat be a lunatic. I made the bed this morning and she has gotten under the blanket, and it's very cute. Anyway, old you, it's not about you shaming yourself. It's not about you discarding parts of yourself. It's about you allowing yourself to evolve. Things, perspectives, the way that you saw certain things are dissipating, and this may feel uncomfortable, because if it's a part of you that you considered a part of your identity, and you notice, wow, I don't hold on to that as strongly, that can be alarming to our ego. And again, we don't ego shame here. The ego is an important part of our personality that helps us stand up for ourselves and stand up for justice. The ego does many good things, as well as the struggle it can cause, because like everything, there is light and dark there. But our ego may be challenged by letting go of beliefs and ideas that have been with you for a long time. And realizing, oh, I see something differently, can be a shock to our system. And you are asked to be emotionally intimate with yourself and with those who are healing to you at this time. With those who feel like being entwined with these people, being intimate with these people one-on-one helps you feel embodied in who you truly are. The best relationships are the one where both people don't lose themselves in it. People feel affirmed as themselves in it. That's true intimacy, where we don't get lost and feel like we don't know who we are anymore. That veers into codependency. Rather, we become more affirmed as ourselves. And perhaps we do expand our sense of self, right? Perhaps we do take on some new things in our identity, because we're just so taken with someone else's perspective as well. But we don't lose track of who we are. These are choices that we make, right? We are affirmed in I'm myself, and I'm choosing to be deeply engaged with this other person. So lean into emotional intimacy with yourself and others, because you are in a time of transformation, and this may feel unsettling to you. It may make you feel like you're losing your sense of self. So turn to the people and things that have made you affirm your sense of self, and see where that gets you. Be loving to yourself at this time. All right, hydration checkpoint as promised to me. Cheers, y'all. You can also hydrate at this time, and I recommend it. Okay, we got Mary Jane next, then we got Judith on deck. And there are more people too. I'll get to you when I get to you. Don't worry. Don't worry, I will reach a point when I get to the end of all the things. Uh, I always ask, I always give people a chance. I'm like, if I didn't see you, you let me know. So, I am I am careful to make sure that I get to everyone who wants a reading. Hydration. Okay, Mary Jane has a question. We'll be 65 on Thursday. Happy 65. What does year 65 have in store for me? I love your question. I am pulling a card for you. I'm doing a little shuffle. Wow. We have the 5 of Wands again, Mary Jane. It's about you deciding how and when to stand up for yourself, and that includes standing up to yourself for your peace. Um, Deciding what matters, what's important to you, and deciding this one's important, how you will fight for that. And sometimes that will mean actual fighting. Sometimes fighting for it will mean fighting an impulse to create or participate in drama. Sometimes fighting will mean taking a step back. The 5 of Wands is a card about being caught up in the moment and needing to show you're right and needing to win. What does it look like to fight that impulse and ask ourselves, what are my real goals here? What are my real desires here? So we have a very transformative year for you where you get to step away from the energy of needing to prove yourself to others, which is usually needing to prove yourself to yourself, um, and step away from the energy of feeling like life is a ongoing battle, and step back and ask yourself, if there are things I am battling for, how can I do so most effectively? Because being in a skirmish that makes us feel activated is not always or even often the most effective way. And so, in other words, we begin to ask ourselves the real questions, and we begin our mission, should we choose to accept it, we begin to be able to do the real shit. Because energy like this, energy of like, I can't believe this happened again. I can't believe he said that. I can't believe this asshole in front of me in traffic, takes a lot of emotional energy from us. And it does feel like it takes it, like we're not giving it. It's like, whoa, there goes all my energy. And then we don't have it. And what if we developed a practice? Meditation practice is wonderful for this, or any kind of mindfulness practice of anytime we feel activated in that way, stepping back and asking ourselves, what's my big picture and how can I show up for it best? And that also gives your frustration, anger, annoyance a channel, because these are emotions that demand action. They're not bad emotions. I'm going to say it again louder for the people in the back. Anger is not a bad emotion. Do people sometimes do bad things when they feel angry? Uh-huh. People also sometimes do bad things when they feel happy. People also sometimes see also friggin' riots over a sports team winning, right? People also sometimes do bad things when they feel stuck. People also sometimes do bad things when they feel disempowered. Our emotions and our behaviors are not the same thing. Anger is not a bad emotion. Anger is a map. Anger points us to where we are feeling like our needs and desires are not getting met and like our personhood is not being respected. So if you can let your anger be a map this year, you can change so much in your life. Let the frustration be transformative. Let every moment of frustration be a portal. And what I suspect will happen is at first it will feel a little annoying. And by about like by a certain amount of time into the year, you'll realize, oh wow, I keep getting redirected to the same thing. I'm just going to work on that one thing. Every time I get annoyed, whether it's about this thing or not, I'm going to work on this thing. And you will just see a map of progress roll out behind you, a map of change roll out behind you in your life, right? Because when we redirect anger, a helpful emotion meant to point out to us when our needs are not getting met, when our desires are not getting met, when we're not being treated well, when we pay attention to that map that it gives us, we can change our lives so quickly and bring ourselves so much more happiness. Fight's a good fight, and only the good fight, and that one's for everyone. Okay, I got Judith on deck. After Judith, I have Chaka. Good morning, Ondine. How are you? I'm not surprised you had trouble finding me because Instagram is no longer letting me go live. Instagram just last month, this happened last month to me too. I was hoping that maybe Meta changed their minds because they're known for changing their minds. It's a multi-million-dollar corporation's prerogative to change its mind. I was hoping that maybe Meta changed its mind, but no. You now need over 1,000 followers to go live on Instagram. I do not have 1,000 followers as Sassafras Tarot, so I'm making it a goal by the next Witchy Weather Report to have that on Instagram and TikTok, and you can help me with my goal by following me in either place, or ideally both places, so that I can go back to being live in more places than this. How are you doing? Our card for everyone is the Five of Wands. We are encouraged to fight the battles that matter, fight the good fight, not the bad fight, and to recognize the difference, right? The Serenity Prayer comes to mind. The courage to change the things I can, the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, and the wisdom to know the difference. And I invite everyone to channel that frustration when there's a bad fight, not a good fight to be fought, instead of fighting it, instead of like getting into a grumpy argument with some idiot that you're never going to see again, that isn't going to change the world. I invite you to take a step back and ask yourself, what is the big thing that is upsetting you? And ask yourself if there is a most constructive next step you can do about that big thing. You know, give your anger an outlet, give your frustration an outlet, give it room to do a constructive thing so that you are turning around and making progress. It's a little like, you know, when there's like, I have had arguments with like misogynistic asshats on the internet and turned around and made a donation to Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Planned Parenthood and been like, I chose, instead of having this fight with you, to make a donation to you know, to two things that I think will broadly help quell the culture that enabled this fight in the first place. Like, I decided to do something constructive with my frustrated energy. You know, like that's kind of the energy. Or if you feel like you're having to prove yourself to people, which usually means we have to prove ourselves to ourselves, then taking a step back and asking ourselves, what is it? Where's my, like, doing some of the work? What is it? Who am I really fighting against? Is it this person? Is it something a teacher said to me in 7th grade? Is it, you know, like, what is it? What am I actually fighting against? And ask ourselves if we can do something to build ourselves up. Channeling that frustrated energy. Oh, thank you so much, Brittany. Oh, was there a derogatory person, or was there just, I just saw the spam comment. Is that who you reported, or was there someone awful on Twitch? And if so, I'm sorry I missed it. I mean, either way, thank you for reporting it. And Twitch says they've taken action. Thank you. You're marvelous. Oh, you're using dude in a derogatory way. That's so funny. Yes. Love it. Okay. Anyway, Judith is next on deck. After that is Chaka. Anyone who is requesting a reading, if you have a question, like, pop in the chat for me, let me know. Otherwise, I'm just kind of giving you a general card. Judith, here's your card. It's the 6 of Cups. This is real key because you're working, it's inner child work. You are the adult who can heal the inner child that you were. It's annoying because that inner child deserves someone outside of them to be kind to them in the first place in the way that you didn't get. So it is not fair that that's how things ended up, but you now are that adult who can help and heal that inner child, and you should, because she deserves it. And that's what's happening right now. There's a lot happening in here and in here. And so if there are things in your life that you feel like you are stuck with and the plot hasn't been moving forward, you actually are moving the plot forward now by dealing with what's in here and dealing with what's in here. And mostly we have, like, we can see this is happening in this person's mind, and mostly it's in here. It's the way we intellectualize our trauma. It's the way that talking around our trauma, talking around our struggles, talking around our pain can give us permission to not actually feel it and do something about it. And so I'm inviting you, instead of talking around those things intellectually, to allow yourself to turn inward and just offer compassion to yourself broadly and big and often. To, when you find those things coming up, to just take a moment as soon as you are able to just be with yourself and put your hands on your heart or do any other thing to just show yourself, show inner child you how much you care. And I know that wordless comfort is a part of this for you too, because there's a thing about language, being not always accessible to our inner child. And I'm inviting you to take it out of your head and put it into your heart by offering yourself simple, loving comfort early and often. And know that that feels like you're doing nothing, but actually you're doing the one thing that's been missing for so long, for so many years. So know that you can move the plot forward the most by stopping what you're doing and offering yourself kindness. That is what the Six of Cups has to say to you today. I want to say to everyone that the Five of Wands has come up as our card, meaning we should choose our battles and choose whether to battle at all or choose whether there might be something better to do with our time, even if we're pissy, right? Because anger demands action. It doesn't have to specify what action, though. You could, if you're angry, um, you could slam a door, or you could hammer some nails and build a shelf. You know what I mean? Like, you can use that anger to be destructive or constructive. And I encourage everyone to think that way, and to notice that circumstances are such right now in the world. And this is actually, like, very deliberate, and it's not it's designed that way, especially in America right now. Circumstances are designed to trigger our anger, to trigger our rage, to make us feel helpless and upset about it. And if we can recognize that that's the battle isn't what are we angry about? Let's get angry. The battle is, there are forces at work trying to make us angry at ourselves, at each other, at whatever, um, at whatever they're portraying as the big bad, and trying to make us feel more divided and isolated. And that if we choose not to let those forces mess with our feelings, we have won. And we don't do this by controlling our feelings. We do this by showing up for our feelings. Anger demands action. When we're feeling jerked around and manipulated, when we can take a step back and say, I will not be jerked around and manipulated. I will take care of my emotional self so that I am the one making the choices. I am the one calling the shots. That is the way we win. On deck, we have Chaka, and then Patty Bell. And if you're still waiting on a card, don't worry, I'm getting to you. I promise also I'll do a double check at the end. Chaka, your card is the Five of Swords. This is what I have been saying to everyone about the Five of Wands, but on stun. You have to take a look at the areas where you feel so defenseless that you can actually be harmful and hurtful to others. You have to take a look at, we talked about anger demanding an action. The Five of Swords is about black and white thinking. It is about the belief that some of us have, very big. And I don't blame us for having this belief, because often it's hard, it comes to us through trauma, right? But the belief that there are winners and losers, and so therefore the only safe thing is to be the winner, right? And often the way this belief manifests is, there are winners and losers. I'm always the loser, not this time. And those beliefs come from a place of disempowerment and make us potentially very destructive. towards ourselves, towards others, towards uh, the world at large. And you are being asked to turn inwards at those times and ask yourself where you are feeling powerless and what you are going to do about it internally rather than externally. We talked about anger being able to slam a door or build a shelf, right? And sometimes anger just needs to trigger like straight out introspection. We talked about reparenting our inner child, and sometimes our inner child needs to be reflected back. Sometimes we need to be the one as the adult in the room saying, "Hey self, like you're real pissed off right now. You're angry. You want to talk about it?" Like we need to be the one talking ourselves off a ledge. And the reason is the 5 of swords allows us to get so swept up into this idea of like either I'm a winner or I'm a loser and I have to fight. And I have a secret for you. You don't have to fight. That's the secret that the 5 of swords wants you to know. You don't have to fight. Some battles are not worth winning. I already did yours. Oh, you know why you came to Facebook with a cat, so I saw a second cat. Thank you, Patty Bell. You could have just let me read another card for you. You could have gotten a double reading. um Yeah, sorry. Well, as I'm reading for people, the good and the bad is that I get lost in the moment in the reading and I just share what I feel has to be shared. And we got some real ones. Like, guys, I'm taking some responsibility for this as a Virgo. We got this Virgo new moon because we've been doing all of this work on ourselves all summer. And this I'm veering into astrology. I'm out of my lane. I know just enough about astrology to get myself in trouble, but I do follow the moon cycles. I have a whole club about it. And if you'd like to join, you can visit tinyurl.com/Monday Moon if you want to work the moon cycle with us and do the work and heal. But the new and full moons this summer have been about us discovering things about ourselves, have been about us learning things about who we are and who we are in the context of our social world, big and small, and our gifts and our feelings. And now we have this series of Virgo new moons. We just had one. We're having another at the end of the moon cycle. We have another Virgo new moon. And y'all, Virgos are about making lists and getting it done and analyzing the data and making the changes. And so I suspect the reason that the cards are pretty spicy today is because there's that Virgo new moon energy going like, listen, these are the facts, Jack. And therefore, we are taking these facts and we're deciding how to do the right things with them, right? We're not jumping into action. We're making a list and checking it twice like friggin' Santa Claus. And we are looking at the facts and looking at what we have learned about ourselves over the summer. And we are making some bold choices to move forward and make a difference in our own lives. And sometimes that does require work, and Virgo's not afraid of work. But Virgo is also deliberate and thoughtful. I know because I am one. Sometimes to our detriment, right? Sometimes too deliberate and thoughtful. Sometimes I drown in the lists, but that's the energy right now. We're looking at what's real, even though it's uncomfortable, and we're deciding what we're going to do about it. Nancy, you're a blessing. Thank you. Highly recommend the MMM Club, Moon Magic and Meditation Mondays. The MMM Club is like my favorite thing. My favorite thing that happened this year is me figuring out how to do that, how to have this ongoing weekly thing where we get to have this special connection and do the work emotionally and show up for our spirituality and just like all at once together. So if you want to be a part of that with me, I invite you. There's a little thing scrolling across the bottom. There's also, I think, something in the video description that you can click on. Anyway, all right, so we did Chaka, we did Patty Bell. I am scrolling down to see who is next. I know we got more. Don't worry. Don't worry, friends. I'm coming to you. We got Brittany. And we got Shelby. Shelby says good meowing. And Brittany drops several cats. And I know we also have Ondine. Is there anyone else I have missed? You tell me. If you've put a cat and I've missed it, you let me know. Oh, Patty Bell I just saw this, tried to get a COVID vax yesterday and couldn't. I'm sorry, that sucks. Okay, so Brittany, Shelby, Ondine. And Brittany has a question. How do I maintain, regain my balance, and stay centered in myself when everything going on is so rocky and difficult to navigate right now? That's a real question, my friend. I feel called to pull more than one card for you. And so I'm gonna, because I think there's two questions here, and I think they are, how do I um how do I regain my balance, right? And also how do I navigate all the rocky and difficult? And like those two connected are, how do I stay centered in myself? Got one, got two. The answer is the Page of Cups and the Eight of Pentacles. This is going to be an annoying answer because the shorthand is like show up for yourself. Allow yourself to be a child. Allow yourself to be a child about this. Because when we go through rocky, difficult terrain, when life keeps throwing shit at us, it does bring out our inner child, right? Um, for better or worse. It brings out our tantrumist self. And I just want to tell you, like I've been here as your friend. Like you have shit going on that is worth throwing a tantrum over. So allow yourself to be a child. Allow yourself, in other words, to feel your shit. Allow yourself to not constantly have the appropriate response, because especially when things are going very badly, when life is throwing challenge after challenge at you, it can be a tremendous amount of energy just to get through. And when we're piling onto that, the energy required to like be the grown up and not do, and not be immature about it and handle it appropriately, that requires so much emotional energy, when truly, like, there is a point at which it's actually normal and healthy for us to have a bit of a spin out, right? Like it's normal and healthy for us to kind of like lose our shit because it's a pressure valve, right? And as we've been talking about with the Five of Wands and other cards today, we can choose not to lose our shit on or at other people, right? Or ourselves. We can choose to not let it be externally destructive or self-destructive, but you do have a right, and I'm going to say an obligation, to lose your shit, because it is a natural pressure valve trying to let out the buildup of these emotions. So allow yourself your responses that you may feel are childish, because they're not childish. It's just a pressure valve. You have such an onslaught, which makes me think of complex PTSD. And the difference, friends, here's what we're doing today. We're defining complex PTSD. The difference between complex PTSD and regular PTSD, or just PTSD, is that PTSD is something that is diagnosed when there's like a specific incident of big trauma that then the person can have flashbacks to, and like it's all based around this one thing, or experience they had. And complex PTSD is the buildup of many small traumatic experiences. It's more like death by a thousand cuts. And it's complex because it's not like, oh, we just solved this one moment, we just solved this one period in a person's life. It's bigger than that, right? It's complex. It requires a complex response because it took a lot of complexity to get it to the point of being a type of PTSD. And the reason I bring this up is because all that you've been going through is more like complex than simple. Well, no PTSD is simple, but you know what I mean. Is more like complex PTSD, where many things contributed to you getting to a point of feeling this way. And as a result, you're going to have many different emotions, and you deserve to let yourself experience them, and you deserve to let each of them play out. And part of what we can do as the adult parenting our inner child is to allow ourselves to organize our emotions, and allow yourself to organize your feelings around this just enough to be like, when you feel it, when you notice one, like grab onto it, and be like, I'm going to let myself feel this right now. I noticed that I'm feeling really mad. I got off the phone with my healthcare person and I'm really mad about the outcome of this. And allow yourself to feel big mad, and allow yourself to explore all the other big mad that you maybe haven't gotten around to exploring. And if you find yourself feeling desperate, allow yourself to explore desperate, and allow yourself to explore all the other desperate you felt. And that feels harsh, because we want to protect ourselves from the tides of our emotions. And again, The caveat is do this safely. Don't let it be self-destructive. Make sure you have friends and loved ones and, resources and places. I know you do if it gets to be too much, but not letting ourselves feel the shit doesn't make it better. Let yourself feel the shit. And part two is the Eight of Pentacles, is this one step at a time approach, which I know you're very good about, but the order is important. The Eight of Pentacles is about one step at a time. I take the steps to make my life and myself better. And right now, one step at a time, the steps to make your life and yourself better is just tending to your inner child around this, tending to your feelings around what is happening. Because I think you're actually very good at tending to the practicality of what is happening, making the phone call, making the appointment, taking the medicine, trying the new behavior. You're very good at that practicality. And so we want to do an inner child first approach with the Page of Cups, where you show up first for your emotions and then allow yourself to take just one next step. And that is a simplified approach that will probably make it all feel a little less overwhelming. Also, I love you and I hope everything gets better, and I'm mad on your behalf at the universe. Okay, after Brittany, we have Shelby. Thank you, Eileen. Hey, Cheryl, how are you? Good to see you. Good meowing. Just got up in New Mexico. Love that. Okay, so we have Shelby, Ondine, Eileen, Cheryl on deck. If you have a particular question for your card, you let me know. And Cheryl, I'm interpreting that as a request because I do see a cat in there, actually. Yeah, you put a cat in the chat. You know the rules. Love it. If you have a particular question, you let me know and I'll pull it for you. So Shelby, Ondine, Eileen, Cheryl, that's 4 people. I'm doing my best. My brain is slow. Okay, Shelby, I've been restless, finally getting engaged and grounded with my body. I'm tired of seeking. How long do I wait? Will I know when to take action? I've been wanting a certain type of support, but I find myself giving it rather than receiving it. I feel that. I know I have to change my life. I'm just in this in-between place and exhausted. Let's pull a card for you. I got 2 cards. Sometimes I get there's a lot of twofers this time. And you know what? Situations are complex and sometimes complexity demands a complex thing. I have the Wise One, which is the Hierophant in this deck, representing the wisdom that is greater than ourselves, that we turn to for guidance when things are out of whack, as well as the Four of Pentacles. This is a really clear directive. You turn your energy for answers outside of yourself, because turning for answers inside of yourself, I think you already know and you've already expressed there are changes you need to make. So you've already found some answers inside of yourself, but without turning and knowing, okay, I don't have to do this alone, it can become rumination. It can become a practice of, I know I have to make a change. How do I make the change? I know I have to make the change. How do I make the change? Rather than allowing ourselves to allow something bigger to be supporting us. And this can be a higher power if you're into that, or it can be the something bigger of the collection of the collective of, years of human experience also dealing with problems like this. Someone else has faced what you're facing, and there are probably answers out there, and it's not your job to reinvent the wheel. Turn to the Wise One, turn to the energy and wisdom that is greater than yourself. Seek guidance beyond yourself and trust that you don't have to do it alone. And allow yourself in that way, in a healing way, to be small. Now, I don't like when the world and when people around us make us feel small in like a shitty way, make us feel disempowered in a shitty way. But there is actually a blessing and a gift in allowing ourselves to be small, allowing ourselves the perspective of like, I'm a speck of dust in the universe, and there are many other specks of dust in the universe, and maybe someone has the answer to my question that I don't. And allowing yourself to be small enough, i.e., humble enough and trusting and vulnerable enough to go ahead and be like, hey, can anyone help? And allowing ourselves, and like, we can direct it with more discernment than that. We can direct it to what has helped me in the past, who has helped me in the past, what perspective has helped me in the past, right? And this can be our beliefs and our values, and this can be turning to research, and this can be turning to our community too and saying, I could use some help with X, right? And allowing ourselves to be helped. So that's the biggie. Don't, in other words, believe that the answers have to all come from in here. You've come up with some very good, answers in here. And now we seek, what can the rest of the world do for me? Right. We're allowed to need help and support. We're allowed to just say, can you help me? And then wait patiently, instead of trying to prove ourselves worthy of help, instead of trying to help ourselves to show that it's okay, that we're good, right? We're allowed to just say, can you help me, please? We're allowed for that to be the complete sentence. And the Four of Pentacles asks you to conserve your energy, time, energy, money. Pentacles is about all of the above: time, energy, money, physical and mental health, energy, emotional energy as well, your time and your money. These are all resources that are not limitless, especially in the moment, right? And so you're simply asked to be thoughtful about how you use each of them. You're simply asked to ask yourself the big picture. There are big problems I'm trying to solve. There are big things I'm trying to accomplish. So I have resources. I have time. I have energy, emotional and physical energy. I have money. You have some of each, right? You don't have a limitless amount of each. So you ask yourself, I do have resources. How, therefore, can I best channel them into my highest good? And that means making some thoughtful decisions about them. Well, I am going to expend my time, energy, money on this. I will not expend it on this because right now this is the big priority, right? So we make thoughtful choices about our time, energy, money, and we let ourselves be helped. Your new therapist who is evaluating you says you must stop intellectualizing. Sorry, I hide in logic. Yeah, many of us do that. That's a real thing. That's a real thing. Yeah. Heidi Bell saying CPTSD is intense and I still live in the battlefield. Yeah, I hear that. Sending love to everyone. I I love the people who collect around me because we are all wounded healers and we all show up so lovingly for each other. And it is my highest wish that we all show up as lovingly for ourselves, because I just want y'all to know that you friggin' deserve it. You deserve to have you in your corner because you are fucking potent. I'm talking to each of you right now, very specifically as individuals. You are fucking potent and you deserve to have that power in your corner. You are worth it. Okay. Now we have Ondine, Ondine, Eileen, Cheryl. Ondine, pulling a card for you. And then that'll be it for today. If you missed the main card, everyone, it's the Five of Wands. The energy of the coming month is that we have to choose how we will expend our fighty energy. There are going to be things that trigger us. There are going to be things that make us grumpy. There are going to be things that make us feel like we have to fight. And we're going to be asked to choose to channel that constructively rather than destructively. We're being asked to use our anger to build something rather than destroy something. Rather than slamming a door and a glass falls off the shelf and shattered, we're meant to chop some wood for firewood to keep us warm in the winter, or to hammer some nails into a thing to make a shelf or whatever, right? We're asked to use that energy. Anger is energy, and we're asked to channel it effectively for ourselves. Ondine, your card is the Knight of Pentacles. Slow down. Take a moment. Be with yourself and your horse. Your horse here representing anyone who is a companion that feels uncomplicated and close to you. This can represent a pet. This can represent loved ones, the kind of friendships where you pick up right where you left off and it just feels good. Slow down and pause. We're talking about time, energy, money. And the desire, the knight-like desire to get it done and figure it out, can have you spinning your wheels if you're not careful. Instead, take a moment. The Knight of Pentacles is big Virgo energy as a Virgo. The Hermit is our big card. But the Knight of Pentacles combines the best of hermitude with action. One of the slower moving knights. Take a moment and ask yourself, how are things going with my time, energy, money? What's important to me right now? And how can I use those resources wisely to move forward towards my goals? Because the Knight of Pentacles is ready to do the work. But take a moment before you dive into, okay, I just have to fix this. I just have to make this happen. Take a moment and ask yourself, what is the best route? Because when you're in your Knight of Pentacles mode, what can happen is that we can get involved in what we're doing and get, follow that path for quite a while. So we want to give ourselves the opportunity right now to ask ourselves, what course should we follow? Should we lay a path for ourselves to move forward? What needs the focus and attention, and then begin moving, and then begin taking that slow, steady process of moving. But take a moment first, ask yourself about your time, energy, and money. Ask yourself about how they can best be applied, and then apply them. And I recommend following those 2 steps early and often. Allow yourself to have slow progress with the understanding that running headlong at something that isn't quite what will solve the problem will cost you more time and energy than taking a slow step and stopping and considering and taking another step. You'll actually get there faster by doing the slow, considered steps. That's the energy of the Knight of Pentacles. Working on trying to know my feelings and follow them. That's a delicious, that is a delicious goal. Okay, Eileen, did you have a particular question, Eileen? I'm scrolling up to see. I see your cat. How are you, by the way? Thanks for tuning in. Okay, I don't see a particular question, so I'm just pulling a card for you. And then Cheryl, and then that will close us out. Thanks y'all for tuning in. I do this once a month, so I'll be back the last weekend of September with more readings. And if you would like to get together with me more often than that, the Monday Moon Magic and Meditation Club is the big way that I'm doing that right now. I haven't decided if I'm going to offer classes. A couple of people have been asking again about tarot classes. And I may offer a tarot class this winter. But what I know I am offering ongoingly is this Monday club. We get together on Monday mornings at 11:11. And if you are working or busy during that time, it's okay, because it's a live broadcast that gets saved. And we have a group that we all interact in throughout the week. So you can tune in for this later on and still get, this full experience. And we do a guided meditation, and we talk about what the moon is doing, and we ask ourselves how we can harness this power and this energy, and we show up for ourselves 1 week at a time in the Monday Moon Magic and Meditation Club. And I find it to be very personally transformative. I also find that the relationships that form in my groups are unforgettable. People really support each other in a beautiful way. And if you'd like to be a part of that, you can visit tinyurl.com. I'll even put a link in there, tinyurl.com/Monday Moon. That's my big focus right now with my sassafras energy. Eileen, we have the 2 of Pentacles. I really want to show you the art on this card. Now, the 2 of Pentacles is about keeping things in balance. Keeping the balls in the air, something you're very good at, keeping everything going in a functional way. And I want you to see where it's like I view this card as like conscious you working on something consciously, showing up consciously for your days and your experiences. And then like this inner part of you that is also showing up. It's like there is a conscious part of you that is like, here's what I'm focusing on. And then there's a subconscious part of you that's like, oh, we also have to take care of this. We also have to manage this. And I say it because I think that there is some energy loss that's happening where subconscious you is trying so hard to keep certain things in line, is trying so hard to manage certain things. Even if conscious you has said, hey, I can only focus on one thing at a time. I have to be kind to myself. That subconscious you is having difficulty letting go of managing certain aspects of life that perhaps do not need as much management as the energy that is being expended on them. And so I'm giving you permission, Eileen, to allow yourself to assess what really needs managing, what's really important, and what really needs to be let go of or can safely be let go of, and then have a heart-to-heart with yourself and ask inner you if she is willing to let go of some of those things to recapture some of that energy. Like the goal isn't even so we can do this and so we can get this done. It's to recapture some of that energy and let yourself have more breathing room. Like I'm feeling this sense of like your chest opening up. Are there things that you can stop managing that, again, perhaps may be subconscious? And can you directly ask your inner self, are you willing to let go? Are you willing to stop managing this so hard and breathe and reclaim some of that energy? I'm trying so hard to honor inner child, but not to operate from inner child. I hear that. I hear that. I recently had a conversation with a friend who said that there are certain situations that trigger our inner child to come out. And especially if your inner child has learned a lot of managerial skills, which I know that you and I have talked about that, both of us. If your inner child is like, let me swing into action and do things, right? What happens is your inner child takes the wheel in these situations, starts driving the bus. And my friend is like, my therapist says no child should be driving a bus. So it's like allowing yourself to be like, oh, inner child, you're here, I welcome you, and also gently taking that steering wheel back, right? And I know that you have been doing this work, and I think that this is a part of it. And I think that a part of it is like asking, allowing yourself. Can you allow yourself to recapture, to do less and recapture that energy? And that's an inner conversation. I don't think it's I think you're doing a great job with the outer conversation of balancing that, and it's just like an inner conversation of creating such safety for yourself that your inner self does feel safe to let that drop. Oh, and I just saw your question, and I'm actually going to pull another card because I didn't see this question. I think that this Two of Pentacles has a lot to say about that question, but I want to pull another card because I didn't see it and I want to add the intention. I want to be there. How do I hold space for someone's trigger self and set boundaries to protect myself from their deflecting attacks? I want to be there for them, but I don't deserve the attacks. I also know their behavior is unconsciously. Oh, I'm not getting the full comment. Let me go to Facebook and see. Or maybe it's just I know their behavior is unconscious. The answer is the Seven of Wands. It may make you uncomfortable because I believe that the cards are telling you stand up for yourself. That's the answer. And sometimes when we think we're holding space for someone, what we're actually doing is enabling them to continue their pattern. And what might actually create the most space and movement in their lives would be to challenge it. You're being asked to think of yourself and stand up for yourself rather than in the midst of standing up for yourself, complicating things by saying, but I also have to show up for this person. You can take responsibility for yourself and just yourself. And your intention to hold space for those you love and the myriad ways you do that is enough that you don't have to also do that while defending yourself against an unkind attack. It is not your job to, while being attacked, also be holding space for someone. Because it's all hands on deck, right? If this were a more physical, literal attack, if somebody was mugging you in the parking lot, and, like banged into you and was trying to get you to give them your wallet or whatever, right? It would not be the time. It would not be the moment for you to be like, whoa, I think your inner child's out of whack, buddy. Like, let's sit down and talk about your feelings before you take my wallet from me. It would not be the time, and probably that person really could use some work. But it's not your job in that moment. Your job in that moment is to keep your safety and hopefully keep your wallet, but safety first, right? And the act of standing up for yourself is exactly what will make your own inner child feel safe enough to stop doing all that managing. That's the tie together. The act of standing up for yourself shows your inner child I'm worth standing up for. And every time you choose to say, well, I have to also hold space for this other person, I can't just stand up for myself, what your inner child hears is, I'm terrified and it doesn't matter to you. I still have to think of everyone else first. And I'm going to encourage you to explore what it feels like to just stand up for yourself. And I think that you know how to do that in a non-toxic way and allow that to be enough. And see if that change, you're allowed to make this change and change your mind about it, right? You're allowed to do this for a week and be like, no, it doesn't work. I'm going back to the old way. Any change can be temporary. But I'm encouraging you to think, to allow yourself to embody your own experience a little more fully. You're welcome. And your inner child deserves to be stood up for, by the way. And so does your adult you. Okay. Oh, hey, Lisa, want a card? I'm just at the end of my broadcast, but I will totally pull a card for you. I have one more person on deck. Cheryl, I'm scrolling up to see. I'm scrolling up to see if you had any particular question. Cheryl, I don't think I do. I think I just see a cat. If I'm wrong, put it in there. Very synchronous that the Five of Wands as a building card is well supported by the Pentacles cards that have followed. Yeah. I love that. Thank you. I love when a tarot reader tunes in and like makes those delicious connections. Okay, no particular color. All right. Yeah, I got you. Lisa, if you have a question, I thought you probably meant no particular question, but I said it out loud because I'm like, that's interesting. I just felt like it was an interesting, like possible, like, psychological slip, like trying not to color your own experiences onto something and trying to just like be open. I was like, I kind of liked it. Okay. Lisa, if you have a question, let me know. I'm going to pull a card for Cheryl and then you, and then we're closing up shop. Cheryl, your card is the Two of Cups. It's the one-on-one connections and the ebb and the flow of what it feels like to be close to someone. I think I was talking earlier about this, the type of intimacy that allows us to get closer to someone without losing ourselves, that allows us to get close consciously with someone where I share about my vulnerability, you hear me and you see me and also share about your vulnerability, and I hear you and I see you, and both people feel seen and don't feel that they have to assimilate. And so that that closeness is built on more like the beauty of a patchwork quilt than a melting pot, right? Like the problem with the idea of a melting pot is that there's this assimilation component, is this sense of like, oh, everyone kind of becomes samey together. Whereas the Two of Cups here is about the sacred duality that we lose if we allow ourselves to just bleed into each other and become one thing. It's the sacred duality of I'm me and you're you, and we're choosing to be deeply connected. And we choose to be deeply connected even though we know there will be times we don't see eye to eye, and we allow ourselves to be individuals, and we also allow ourselves to journey deep together, to hold space for one another. And that kind of energy can happen romantically. It can happen with family members. It can happen with friends. It can happen sometimes with a very special conversation with a complete stranger on the subway, right? Those conversations are the ones that move you forward right now. Look to the conversations in your life, the moments in your life where you are both simultaneously holding space and allowing yourself to open up, because that's where you'll find the most growth right now. The best growth for you can be held in that kind of intimacy. And it's very interesting juxtaposed with our card for everyone, the Five of Wands. And to me, it feels like you have a deliberate choice to make, Cheryl, of taking your energy from the connections that feel fighty, that feel like you have to prove yourself, that feel like everything's a problem, and pouring them very deliberately into the connections that feel like you're vulnerable and safe to be vulnerable and seen, and that you're able to extend that energy to someone else, and it feels like generosity, not obligation, right? The difference between generosity and obligation is whether it adds resentment or whether it feels delicious, right? Obligation can bring resentment. We feel like, well, I have to do this for this person because they're expecting it and I know they've done things for me and blah blah blah, but like we feel resentful about it. And indeed, when we choose to be in our generosity, that means choosing not to do things that make ourselves resentful. That means choosing not to live in our obligation, and choosing that I'm going to give of myself only if it comes from a spirit of expansiveness, of like, yeah, I can absolutely do this and I know it'll make a difference for them, so I will, and it feels so good. That's generosity. Go to the relationships that feel like generosity, not obligation. That's where your growth is. Okay. Lisa is questioning if she is navigating a current hurdle correctly. I will share for everyone, in case you missed it, the card for the month is the Five of Wands. There are going to be experiences that trigger us to feel grumpy, that trigger us to feel fighty. There's a lot going on right now, and it feels a little unsafe, and that can bring out a part of ourselves that's a little like, and there's nothing wrong with standing up for ourselves, and there's nothing wrong with fighting the good fight. But I invite you only to fight the good fights. I invite you to recognize when a fight is not the good fight, it is just draining your energy, and to say, I could leave this grumpy now, or I could leave this grumpy in an hour. And the only difference will be that I will have wasted an hour, and like choose to channel that grumpiness into something that will actually serve you. That is my invitation to everyone with the Five of Wands. Lisa, the card that has shown up is Justice. This is a very introspective card in this deck. Now, justice is a challenging topic in its simplicity, right? What is justice? What is fair, right? Who are we to say what is fair? But at some point, we do have to make judgment calls again and again in our lives of what is fair. And that should be the yardstick. That should be the measuring stick for you in this hurdle, is what is fair. And the question is, what is fair to, fair to everyone involved? Just like, what is fair? What is right? And we measure that with our values, and we measure that with our own beliefs about how we try to act in fairness, right? And how we show up. And we measure that with our beliefs broadly about what fairness looks like. And as a result, it's introspective, right? Justice is in some ways supposed to be impartial, right? The court system is supposed to be impartial. It's supposed to be an impartial third party that helps individuals work something out when they themselves can't get to a fair outcome. However, it's also embedded into our court system that a person should be judged by a jury of their peers. The reason for that is because even though impartiality is important, context is important as well. And we have to acknowledge that, right? A jury of someone's peers means that they can understand the unique situation a person is in, the struggles they face, what they go through. So we have this understanding that fairness, yes, there are broad values that determine fairness, and also context matters, right? And so it becomes very introspective. And so I turn you to your own sense of justice. I turn you to your own sense of what is just and what is fair to manage this correctly. And if you are acting from a place of what is fair to myself, to others, to the situation, then you are handling it correctly. Thank you a million times. You're so welcome. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you for coming to the broadcast. You're lovely. Oh my gosh, Patty Bell just joined Monday Moon. Yay! I'm so delighted. I'm so delighted to have your energy in Monday Moon. You're wonderful. Everyone, you're wonderful. Thank you for tuning in today. This has been a wonderful, wonderful broadcast. I'm sorry we got the Five of Wands. It's a weird time, y'all. But, it's a weird time. And we can't help that we're in weird times. We can only do our best to navigate them because it is a fighty time. Let's be real. There's a lot of forces at work trying to make us feel fighty, trying to make us feel grumpy, trying to get us to use up our energy feeling grumpy about the wrong things so that we don't have energy left to fight the good fight about the big shit. So let's not allow our energy to be hijacked in that way. Let's fight the good fight. Let's identify the good fight and let's not fight the bad fight. Let's do it right. Let's show up for ourselves and our society and our people in this way. I love you all. I will be back next month with another Witchy Weather Report. Follow me wherever you're at right now, and follow me especially on Instagram and TikTok so that I can go live there too. And you'll be seeing more stuff pop up throughout the month. Have a wonderful